So I left Alleppey and I got the ferry to a place called Amma Ashram, where I'd arranged to stay at an ashram for a few nights. Now, while I was in India, I wanted to visit an ashram for a few reasons. The first one is that I wanted to find out a bit more about Hinduism in general, what Hindus believe and what they practice. The second reason is that for myself, I wanted to learn a bit more about meditation. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, but I've never done with any consistency. I've done it once or twice, but I wanted to see if I could do it a bit more consistently and feel the benefits. It was the same thing with yoga. I've done yoga in the past and I felt the benefits. Like I'm quite inflexible, and when I've done it in the past, a lot of my joint troubles have gone away from years of doing martial arts. So I wanted to see if I could incorporate that into my routine. And thirdly, I wanted to see what kind of people I'd meet at an ashram. I was pretty sure that an ashram would attract some pretty interesting and cool people, so I wanted to sit down and chat with some people and find out a bit more about them. Now, the ashram in Amachapuri is known as Amma's Ashram, and the guru that resides there, Amma, is notable for a few reasons. Now, the first is that she is one of the few female gurus in India. There aren't that many, apparently. And the second is that she's known as the hugging mother because her thing is that she hugs people. Now, her sessions of hugs are called darshan, and she's been known to give darshan for in excess of 24 hours, which is pretty spectacular. So that's something I wanted to witness. And thirdly, not like other gurus in India, she doesn't stay in one place very often. In fact, she's hardly ever in India, and she travels all around the world. Like preaching, so she has a huge international following. Now, I did a bit of research on Amma and on the ashram before I went, and I found out a few interesting things. I also spoke to a few people I met along the way, and they had a few interesting things to say about the ashram as well. A few people told me that it had it was basically just for Westerners, that it had a massive swimming pool and you could buy ice cream there, and in their opinion it wasn't a real ashram. Someone else told me that some of the people there are a little bit overzealous in their worship of Amma, and it can sometimes be a bit of a weird vibe. But these things just piqued my curiosity a little bit more, and I wanted to find out a bit more for myself what it was like there. And I'm glad I did, because overall I enjoyed it and it was a rewarding experience. Now, the first thing that impressed me, that I liked about the place, was the scale of it. It's absolutely huge, and you can actually see it in the distance from the ferry, because it actually looks like a huge pink tower block. It actually looks like a pink council estate that you'd find in London. And when you actually get inside the complex, there are just so many people from around the world, and it's actually really impressive. And a lot of the people I spoke to were fantastic. I got to speak to a lot of people each day, and overall there was a really good vibe. I met some really interesting people, and they were happy to sit down and tell you about themselves at length. Secondly, I was happy that everything I set out to learn, I was able to. I learned more about Hinduism. I learned a bit more about meditation and how to incorporate it into my routine. I learned a bit more about yoga, and as a welcome bonus, which I didn't really anticipate, I actually did an Indian music class, and I got to play the tabla, which is a small Indian drum, so that was pretty neat as well. Now, what wasn't really my cup of tea about the place was how far some of the people went with their worship of Amma. Now, a lot of people don't just believe that she's a guru or a spiritual leader, they actually believe that she's a god. And she's actually treated as such as well. She walks around everywhere with security and a large entourage. People go out their way to touch her, and some of them cry when they do. And her picture is everywhere. And sometimes it might be a picture of her face, sometimes it might be a picture of her feet. So I found that a little bit disconcerting. And on the whole, while most people were happy for you to have your opinion and wanted to find out more about you, some people were just interested in telling you about Amma. and their experiences with Amma, and encouraging you to stay a little bit longer and feel, you know, what the energy of the ashram, and see how you're going to change around her. And a lot of them would say, if you had darshan yet, if you had darshan yet, they encourage you to do darshan, and that got a little bit wearing, a bit wearing. And it's for that reason, after the 4 days, I was so mentally exhausted, despite all the other things that I'd experienced at the ashram and enjoyed. After those 4 days, I was mentally exhausted, and I really need to be by myself for a little while, and I couldn't have stayed there much longer. So I left, and I made my way to Vakala, which is a beach resort just south of the ashram. Now, it appears that it's a place where quite a lot of people decompress after the ashram, because I've seen a few people that I recognise, so it seems to be a common thing. So I'm in Vakala. It's quite touristy, and my first impressions is that it actually reminds me a lot of Goa, but it's really nice. The beach is beautiful, so I'm just going to chill out for today and explore Vakala, and I'll let you know what it's like.